Hello, everyone. Today we are going to learn about the first conditional in English grammar. The first conditional is used to talk about real and possible situations in the future and the likely results of those situations. We use it when something may happen, and we want to say what will happen next. For example, we say, "If it rains tomorrow, I will stay at home." This grammar point is very useful in daily life because we use it to make plans, give warnings, offer help, make promises, and talk about future decisions. By the end of this lesson, you will understand the structure, meaning, and practical use of the first conditional, and you will be able to make your own correct sentences confidently. The first conditional, also called the real or future conditional, is used to talk about real, possible future situations and their likely results. It follows the structure if plus present simple will plus base verb or another modal. This report analyzes the first conditional in depth, its meaning, form, and rules, how it differs from zero and second conditionals, its nuanced uses, warnings, promises, polite requests, etc., variations and related expressions, unless, when, as long as, etc., and common learner errors. The first conditional expresses future situations that are real or possible and their probable outcomes. We use it when we think a condition might happen and is not impossible or purely imaginary, and we predict a result. For example, if it doesn't rain tomorrow, we will go to the park. Here, rain is a possible future condition. Going to the park is the likely result. We use the first conditional when we talk about future situations we believe are real or possible. We use the first conditional to talk about the result of an imagined future situation when we believe the situation is quite likely. In short, the first conditional deals with realistic future possibilities and what will likely happen if the condition is met. Structure and grammar rules. If plus present simple, will plus base verb or can or may or might or should plus base verb. Conditional clause, if plus present simple, for example, if it rains if you study. Main clause, result will plus base verb future or another modal can, could, may, might, should plus base verb. For example, if I finish work early, I will help you. Present finish/future will help. Key points. Use present simple in the if clause, the condition. Use will plus base verb in the main clause to state the result. We can also use other modal verbs in the main clause to express ability, permission, possibility, or advice, e.g. can, might, may, should, since they also refer to the future. Cambridge notes that in first conditionals the main clause can have modal verb with future meaning, shall or should or will, or would, or can or could or may or might. Examples. If you can speak French, you may get a higher score on the test. If she practices every day, she could win the competition. If you feel unwell, you should see a doctor. Negative forms. Put not in the if clause or use a negative modal in the main clause. Examples. If it doesn't rain, we will have a picnic. If you don't hurry, you won't catch the bus. If you don't study, you will fail your exams. Structure and forms in detail. 1. Basic form. If plus present simple, will plus verb. If you finish the report, I will help you write the summary. If they invite us, we will attend the party. 2. Other modals in the main clause. Besides will, we often use can, may, might, or should to express ability, permission, possibility, advice, etc. in the result. Examples. If it rains tomorrow, we may stay home. If you need a break, you should take one. If they have time, they can call in on us. If the weather is nice, we might go to the park. 3. Negative forms. The negative is made by adding not, often contracted, either in the if clause or in the main clause with will. Examples. If you don't finish your homework, you won't go out. If she is not busy, she will join us. If it doesn't rain, we will play football. Note, if you won't do it is wrong. Use if you don't. 4. Questions and short answers. We form yes/no questions by inverting will or modal and the subject, keeping if in the sentence. If I be on time, will I get a bonus? More naturally, will I get a bonus if I am on time? Short answer example. Question, if it's sunny, will we go to the beach? A. Yes, we will. Or no, we won't. 5. Contractions. In informal speech/writing, we often contract I'll, you'll, he'll, we'll, it'll, won't, etc. Example. If she arrives on time, we LL begin promptly. 6. Inversion. Formal as above. For formal style or emphasis, use should plus subject plus verb, no if. Should you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. Should you have any questions, I will be happy to help. For negative, should you not arrive by 10, we'll start without you, meaning if you don't arrive. 7. Punctuation. When the if clause comes first, put a comma before the main clause. Otherwise, no comma is needed. Variations and related structures. Unless, if not used instead of if not. Example. Unless you hurry, you will be late. Equals if you do not hurry. Note, do not combine unless if. When future time we often use when instead of if when something is certain to happen in future. Example. When he arrives, I will give him the message. The result is still future will give, as long as or provided that, conditions that emphasize necessity. Examples. You can borrow my car as long as you drive carefully. I'll lend you my notes provided that you return them. In case. Introduces a precaution, not strictly conditional in result. Example. I'll bring an umbrella in case it rains. Meaning if it rains, I will be prepared. Even if. Emphasizes that the result holds true even in the hypothetical. Example. Even if it snows, we will go to work. Meaning snowfall doesn't change the plan. Time clauses. Words like as soon as, until, before often replace if when talking about future time. They are not true conditionals, but often used with future tense. Example. As soon as the rain stops, we will leave. Not if but similar meaning. Note that expressions like as soon as, in case, even if, unless, provided that can be used with first conditional meaning. Nuanced uses of first conditional. First conditional can serve various communicative functions, depending on context and tone. Warnings. If you touch that wire, you will get an electric shock. Urgent warning. Advice or requests, polite. If you need any help, just let me know. Friendly offer of help. Promises. If you finish your chores, I will take you to the park. Parent to child, for example. Threats. If you skip class again, you will be expelled. Strong warning. Offers. If you have time tomorrow, I'll show you the project. Extending invitation. Instructions. If the phone rings, please answer it. If clause equals condition, main equals instruction future. Politeness or inversion, formal as mentioned. Should you require assistance, please contact. Used in formal letters or notices. In all cases, the condition is seen as open or possible, and the main clause commits to some response or action. Using first conditional gives a realistic feel to scenarios, unlike the speculative tone of a second conditional. Probability and modal nuance. In practice, even within first conditionals we can express different shades of likelihood. High probability or certainty, often just will. Example. If you drop that glass, it will break. Almost certain. Moderate probability, use modal like might or could. If they offer me the job, I might accept it. Possible, not certain. Advice or suggestion, use should. If you feel tired, you should go to bed early. Recommendation. Ability or permission, use can. If it snows, we can build a snowman. We can also add adverbs like probably, definitely, maybe to the main clause. If it rains, we will probably cancel the game. Showing estimation. The choice of can or may, or might versus will in the main clause shifts how strongly we predict the outcome. Below are many varied examples of first conditional sentences. Each is labeled for type and annotated with its meaning or form. Affirmative, will. If you study hard, you will pass the exam. Real future prediction. If she finishes work early, she will help us. If the meeting ends by 5 p.m., I will pick you up. Affirmative, modal. If I have time, I may join you later. Possible action. If they play badly, the coach might bench them. Possibility. If you get lost, you can call me for directions. Offer of help. If everyone arrives on time, we should finish by 2 p.m. Advisory tone. Negative and if clause. If you don't hurry, we won't catch the train. If she doesn't practice daily, she will forget the dance. If they don't renew their tickets, they won't be allowed entry. Negative in main clause. If it rains, we won't go to the beach. If he misses the bus, he won't arrive on time. If you eat too much cake, you won't feel well. With unless, if not. Unless you wear a helmet, you will not be allowed to ride. Equals if you do not wear. You won't succeed unless you try your best. Equals if you don't try. Questions and short answers. If he calls, will you tell him to wait? Yes, I will. Will she be angry if I come late? No, she won't. If you finish your work on time, can I borrow your notes? Question with can. Time clauses when as soon as. If or when you finish eating, we can go. Interchangeable meaning. I will call you when I arrive at the station. Future time clause. As soon as the movie ends, we will leave. With other condition words. If only I get the job, I will move to New York. Expressing wishful hope. I'll lend you the book as long as you return it. If he doesn't take the umbrella, he might get wet. In case she calls, I will inform you. Inversion, formal. Should you need any assistance, please call this number. Formal polite offer. Should you see him, tell him I'm looking for him. Real-life dialogues, contextual. Student. If I study every night, I will pass the exam. Teacher. Exactly. Good strategy. Studying advice. Traveler. If the train is delayed, I may take the bus. Travel plan. Doctor. If the pain continues, you should see a doctor. Health advice. Boss. If you finish the report by Monday, we will proceed with the project. Work plan. Short form with contraction. If you're free tonight, I'll cook dinner for us. Informal. If he doesn't call, we'll just go without him. Contractions and modals combined. If it doesn't rain, we can go for a hike. If she hasn't arrived by 8 p.m., we might start dinner. Non-standard but used, negative imperative. If you don't like it, don't eat it. First clause, if. Result has imperative or don't. You won't understand if you don't try. Even if it rains, we will go to the concert. Sure plan regardless. Even if she finishes, we won't wait for her. If he finishes early, he can call us on his way home. I will be angry if you break that promise. Threat. If this app doesn't work, we can try another one. Text scenario. Each example above follows the first conditional structure, if or when plus present, will or modal plus verb, and illustrates its typical use. If real, then will. I want to remind you that if the condition really can happen, use first conditional. The mnemonic, if real uses will, can help. Likely versus unlikely. Emphasize that if plus present means we think it can happen. If uncertain or unlikely, it would be second conditional, if plus past. Comma rule. Teach the comma after the if clause at sentence start. You might say, if it begins the sentence, add a pause, comma. Changing if to when. To avoid overusing if. Discuss when events are sure versus possible. Replace with when, or as soon as if guaranteed. Unless equals if not. Highlight unless means if not, and never pair them, common error. Polite should inversion. For higher levels, introduce should you inversion as a formal alternative, especially for requests or instructions in polite tone. Classroom practice. Have students listen for if or when in songs or dialogues. Ask them to note what follows and classify conditional usage. Mnemonic device. Some teachers use the cartoon. A person if image of if, shaking hands with a clock future, and handshake turns into will. To conclude, the first conditional helps us talk about future situations that are possible and realistic. The structure is simple. If plus present simple, will plus base verb. Remember that the condition comes in the if clause, and the result comes in the main clause. This grammar form is very important because it appears in conversation, writing, planning, warnings, and everyday decision-making. Keep practicing by making your own examples about school, family, weather, work, and future plans. The more you use it, the more natural it will become. Thank you for learning with me today, and keep practicing so you can speak English more clearly and confidently.